Hello everyone, today I'll show you a technique that you can apply to your wall resolution meshes to generate high resolution nanite mesh, so you can take advantage of the new rendering workflow in Unreal Engine 5, where you can have millions and millions of polygons and it will render in one draw call everything that you have in your nanite layer. So you can see the base mesh here for this right ramp was basically the same as the left one. So you can clearly see, if I go to the wireframe, that this is a wall poly mesh and this is highly detailed nanite mesh. You can see it also in the nanite visualization, where this is the nanite mesh and the other mesh is just a regular static mesh. So the other thing about this technique is that it's using a blend material to combine three other materials in here. So you can see I have the rocky ground, I have some sand layer here, and one with the tire tracks that I am using to convey the illusion that this is a ramp that you have ridden with your bike, like you can see here. This is the same ramp. I also have it down here. So basically, oops, sorry, you can see that it looks like it has tire marks on it. So let's start with the process. First you'll need to build and import in your DCC the wall resolution mesh, like I have here, for example. We'll apply the process to this one, and you can see that currently it's very low resolution mesh. I'll apply the blend material. You can use any blend material. This is my custom one, but you can use the one that comes with Megascans. Change the mode to mesh painting, then select your object and then paint. I'll fill all the layers with the black color, so mark all the layers here, choose the black color and click fill, and this will show my first material. I'm only using the red channel to blend between these three materials. In my custom material it will vary for other materials. The one from Megascans uses the red and the green, I believe, but it doesn't matter, the technique is the same. Let me show you my second material. If I fill the red layer with the value of 0.5, this is my second material. It's a sand ground with some grass patches, and if I fill it with white, you'll see my third material. It's this sand with some tire tracks on it to use for the illusion of the ramp being ridden. Let me start with filling with 0.5. This is, I believe, the easiest method for my particular material. I fill it with 0.5 and then using the black and the white color, I paint whenever I want the other two materials. I want the rocks on the bottom, like this. Let me paint all the sides. Okay, let me just move this so I can see the full model. Now go back to mesh painting, select and paint. Okay, so now in the bottom I have my rocks. Do some variation, don't have it as a just line on the bottom. On some places go a little bit higher, some places a little bit lower. Extend the material on the ground in some random places. Okay, so let's say that it looks okay on the sides. I'm just doing this to demonstrate. Don't pay too much attention of the material. So let me add the third layer. You can swap the colors here with the white and with the currently black and the eraser core being white with pressing the X key. So now I'm painting with the white one, and by holding shift you can use the other core without swapping them. So let's do it like this. On top you have the landing marks. And they will fade going down. Here you can also add a bit of the tire tracks. So let's say you're happy with this result. It's just demonstration purpose now, doesn't really matter too much, but let's say this is your final desired result. You'll need a little bit more geometry to have this detail mapped to your model. Let's go to the modeling menu and remesh this this item. You can go to the mesh operations and hit the remesh. Let's say we need 20,000 triangles. I think this is going to be fine. We'll apply additional detail with the displacement later, but let's say this is fine for now. You see that some of our the Vertex paint is getting some errors after the remesh, so that's why we are remeshing and not just displacing, because adding more verticals will change the mesh paint and we don't want that. So go to the mesh paint and fix some of these errors. basically repainting some places where you can see that. And now you have more detailed mesh. You can see that there are a lot of polygons to paint here. You can do a little bit more detailed paint now on the more dense geometry. We are ready. And now what we need is the displacement after this material has been applied. So for the three materials used, I have displacement maps, and I need to mix them to have one single displacement that I can apply to this mesh in the modeling menu. Let's apply this paint to the base model. It's currently only for this instance. You can see that by adding another of the same mesh. So this is the jump M mesh. So if I add this here and apply the same material, you see that none of the painting is saved. But if I go here on the mesh paint and hit this apply button, it will apply to the base model, and every instance you create will have this vertex paint applied to it. So now if I go to the modeling menu, I can use this bake texture to export the vertex color. For resolution, 512 by 512 is fine, because you can see that we don't have a really detailed map anyway. If you have painted a very detailed map, of course you can use a bigger resolution, but for what I'm doing here, blending these assets, it doesn't really matter. I'll blur it anyway. Now I can accept this bake, and it will create this file where your model is. So now I will export this image. I'll go to Photoshop. I'll import it here. I'm doing 2000 by 2048 by 2048 for the displacement map. I rescaled this this vertex map to be the full image size, and now you need to import the displacement textures for your three textures. This is my first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. You can see that I'm arranging them the same way that they are in my material. The bottom one is the one that I'm having on the base of the model, then this is covering it, and this is on top of everything. So hide all those, and let's rasterize this layer so we can blur it. This blur will depend on your resolution. I'll use 15. I don't have really detailed map, so it doesn't really matter. I blur it to avoid having these harsh lines. If you painted your vertex map with more details and you don't want to blur the details, it's fine. The idea is that you use the channel that you want for the displacement map that you're using. If you're using a material where the materials are painted with more more on one channels than the red. For example, you have the red for one of the materials, the green for the other blend material, and the blue for the third blend material. You use all the three masks, but my particular material uses only the red channel in the Vertex paint, so I'll select this by going to the channels menu and holding Ctrl and clicking on the layer, and then I'll go to all of my three layers and add this as a mask. If it deselects it, you can just Ctrl click on the mask and then go to the other layer again. I don't need anymore this mask. The first layer, the mask should be inverted, because in my Unreal Engine material I have the topmost layer shows where the most red is painted on the vertex core. Bottom one is where no red is painted at all. So I'll invert that mask by selecting this mask swatch here and clicking Ctrl I to invert. The two top layers are applying in the middle of this bottom one. For the second one, Alt and click on the mask will show you the mask of the layer, and with the Ctrl M you can apply the curves adjustment. I want the mask to extend a bit out from the top one, so I'll just brighten it a bit by dragging this middle point a little bit up. And then for the top one I'll do the same, but I'll drag it a little bit down. This way you can see that this mask is extending a little bit out of the top one. Now I have this problem that if I hide my two layers, this mask is cutting a hole in my layer on the bottom where the background is shown and the background is black. You need your background to be 50% gray, and now it should look much better. One other thing you can do, depending on your materials, you can add some curves to each of these layers to apply some adjustments. So I'll add one to the bottom one and one to the top one. Add adjustment layer by clicking here and choose the curves layer, and then Alt click between the two layers to apply it only to the bottom layer. So for the bottom one I'll brighten it a bit, and for the most top one I'll darken it a bit. In that way, this texture on the bottom, it will be displaced more, and this on the top, it will be displaced less. I'll have bigger rocks on the sides and it will be flatter in this middle area. So let's say I'm happy with this displacement texture. I'll export it as a PNG and let's call it displacement M model. And after it's done, I'll go to Unreal Engine, and now I'll import the texture here. One important setting for displacement texture is here after you import it, to open the texture and remove this sRGB checkbox, because it's only for cover textures. If you have a utility texture like a displacement, you need to remove this. Then save the texture, and now with the model selected, I'll go to the modeling mode again, and into the deform section, the last button is displace. You will use this displace button By default, the display is using this Perlin noise displacement type. You can change it to texture 2D map, and here into the displacement map option, choose the map that you just created and imported. So this is the one. And in the displacement intensity, you can adjust the amount to be a number that produces the results that you want. I'll just crank it to 100 to show you that our displacement is matching our material here. So you can see where we have big rocks, we have a bigger displacement, and that's the point of exporting the vertex map and combining the three displacement maps into Photoshop. So I believe that 30 will be okay, or even we can go 25 maybe. Let's stay at 30. After you're happy with the displacement options, you can hit here accept, and this will apply the displacement to your model. And you see that this is now displaced by this map, and the texture is matching the geometry very nicely. I'll change the mode here, the display mode here, to detail lighting, so you can see that the model is following the blending of the textures very well. So the last step now, let's say you're happy with this result. If not, you can go to any of the previous steps and change something and reapply all the next steps to go here. When you're ready, just go inside the model and click enable Nanite support and click here apply changes. So this will generate the Nanite mesh. You can see that it's 200,000 polygons. Tiling, okay. This is the same material. And now, if I go to the Nanite visualization, you'll see that I have the full Nanite support for this mesh, and I have a very detailed model inside the scene. If for some reason you don't like your mesh paint, you see that you can no longer paint on Nanite meshes. It's not supported currently. In what you need to do, if you really want to change the vertex paint, is select this mesh again, disable Nanite support. Now, after we have completed our model, you can delete the vertex paint and the displacement images. You don't need them for anything, they were just for the model. And that's basically it. Everything is done. You have your highly detailed model. You have the Nanite support, which will help with the rendering. And you have the blended material effect with the custom painted 3 different materials on this object. I have created this path the same way, and just didn't add the Nanite support because I want to use it with the spline mesh, and Nanite doesn't really support spline meshes currently. You can see that this technique is useful for a lot of different type of objects. Hope you like it. If you have any requests for more tutorials, please write in the comments. I'll try to make the next tutorial sooner, and by that time please like and subscribe and comment on every other request that you may have. Bye for now, and see you in the next one.